We're back with Gary Lilly, Director of Schools for Bristol, Tennessee City Schools, to talk with him about snow and weather-related school schedule changes. I happen to know this is a topic that gets a lot of attention this time of year. So tell me, what does a typical morning look like for you if there's snow or the threat of snow?
So it really depends on the, we look at the forecast to determine might we have a incident that we really need to be on top of. So I subscribe to a service from Morristown's weather service, and so we do the webinars and all that. We look at the radar, we look see what the meteorologists say, and we sometimes call them up and talk to them. So if we think that there's a possibility that inclement weather could be coming in, then we start out pretty early. I'll usually get up somewhere between 4 and 4:30. I start by looking at the radar to see what has happened overnight and what's forecast to happen. And then we really go out and ride roads, because we found that that's really the only true indicator of the conditions. You really need to see them, because it can be quite different when you're talking about what happens in the mountains of Johnson County and here in our city. And we're very blessed. Our city does a phenomenal job clearing roads and working them. So I feel like often we're able to go probably when other people can't, just because our city does such a tremendous job clearing the roads.
Well, we talked about snow a little bit, but are there cases where we might close with extremely low temperatures, and how does that work, and what factors go into that decision?
That's a great question. So if the temperatures are really low, then it's possible that we would be on a delay. And there are several things that go into that. You know, we have to look at what is the temperature, what is the temperature with wind chill. Is it forecast to really improve over delay? Occasionally it gets colder. So what we ask parents, if the forecast calls for really cold weather, then be sure to check your local media sources, just in case we call a schedule change. There is a misconception that at a certain degree range, single digits or whatever, that will be on a delay, and that's really not part of the procedure. It's just to be sure to look, because the last thing we ever want is for someone to not think about that and then let their child off at a school when we are on a delay, and maybe it's not calling for snow, but it's just very cold. So that would be awful. So that's what we tell people, is just be sure to look if it's very cold to see if we're going to be on a delay.
Another thing I hear sometimes when we are potentially going to be out of school or going to be on a delay, a common misconception from some parents is that we are going to lose funding if we're on a delay or if we're out of school. Tell me, is that true?
Sure. No, it's really not true. We do have to let the State Department know if we don't go because of inclement weather. Anytime there's a difference in our published school calendar, but we don't lose funding.
There are several ways you can find out about schedule changes in inclement weather. You can visit our website at btcs.org. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and also the local media is always wonderful to help us out in spreading the word. Thank you, Gary, for joining us today to talk about these things. I know you're going to be a frequent visitor on the show, we hope. And when we come back, we are going to talk about a homework hotline.